We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is going on, Bears fans? I know it's a different time that we're going live. I got some stuff that I have to do tonight. So I was like, what? We're going to do a little early of a show just for us to kind of go through. See, I don't even have my earbuds in fully, but we're still ready to rock. We're still ready to break down the Chicago Bears and what they're going to be doing against the Buffalo Bills. Because the big thing, we're going to be playing our starters today. Or our starters will be playing. So we're going to break that down. And then, as we always do, talk about who to watch versus the Bills. So some of the starters to keep an eye out for, some of the backups. In the third quarter, who should you be paying attention to? And at the end of the game, who are some of the people to just keep an eye out for? Because we know, even though that it's football, preseason can be a little bit difficult, but I like to think that we make it a little bit more enjoyable. So what's good out there? We got Joe, we got Taco Man, Bear down to both of y'all. And also too, if for everyone that's watching, if you haven't already, make sure to go down in the comments or down inside of the description. There is a show feedback form. I'd love to get some of your feedback on just how to make the show better and more interesting for you all that watch the show. So thank you all so much for filling that out if you have done so already. So to start things off, let's get into the starters. Because last show I was saying, I know y'all asked me about this. Do I think that the Bears are going to play the starters? And I was wrong. I was like, I would be shocked, and consider me shocked, because the way that we know about Ben Johnson, he was saying that, hey, they need reps. And that's exactly what I was expecting them to do. And then last week they were like, hey, he doesn't need the reps. He's not going to be out there with the reps. So then I was like, okay, makes sense that they would make him not play and sit out versus the Bills. But I am more than happy being wrong with that. They said, Ben Johnson said that the starters will be out there versus the Bills, even though they're going to be having that practice, tomorrow on Friday, they're going to be doing joint practice. They're still going to have Caleb out there, which to me, this is the best move. And I've said this, and I will keep saying this. He needs reps, especially when the number one thing that we're hearing out of camp is that Caleb's just not necessarily getting the pre-snap and other pieces like that. He then needs to do those. And also too, the other thing that kind of scares me is not scare is a big word, but from Caleb Williams, the thing that I think I'm kind of looking at a little bit more with the fine tooth comb is that when he was at Family Fest, he played worse, right? Away from the training camp fields and other things like that. Get him doing different things, get him at different spots, make him uncomfortable in other situations to really kind of push him and get him, because it's the processing, it's the pre-snap, it's all those things that he needs more reps on. So to me, I love that the starters are going to be out there, love that the offensive line, love the wide receivers, because they need the reps. All the problems that we hear about Caleb Williams is a repetition thing. It's no one's ever like, you know what? He doesn't have a good arm. I mean, the deep ball has been a little inaccurate, just nitpicking right there. But still, love that they at least are going to be having those starters playing. So love to see it. We'll break that down a little bit later. But I do want to just recap training camp a little bit, because today they practiced, and then yesterday they practiced as well, and the day before that. But I really want to just highlight today and yesterday, because there was some news that came out with today and yesterday where big things. First off, with injuries, Kyler Gordon, our nickel corner, is going to be week to week. Jalen Johnson, they said, is on the right track for week 1. So I think Ben Johnson switched up his words so that it was a little less alarmist with some of those things. So only time will tell. As we get closer to week 1, we'll know more and more and more, but still something to at least monitor. Also, Case Keenum left early today with practice. So something, yet again, backup quarterback, but still something to monitor, and could also affect how many reps maybe a Tyson Bagent gets on Sunday. And then also Terrell Smith and Nick McLeod were back out there yesterday. So nice to see some of the other cornerbacks kind of coming in there. So with the camp, though, besides injury, there's a lot of little newsworthy stories that were out there with the Chicago Bears training camp. And the biggest thing was this offensive line. We saw Ozzie Trapillo get reps now at right tackle, which kind of set off a bunch of different alarms. And then we also see Theo Benedett getting 2 consecutive days of reps with the ones. Now, this could mean many different things. This could be just, hey, they're pushing up Theo just because Theo's been trying hard. Theo's been showing what he's capable of. And they're saying, hey, we're going to give you a shot. Theo Benedett is still really young and still a rather unproven player. And quite frankly, I did not talk about him too much when we did the tape review, but he was good. He was unnoticeable in a good way when it came down to the offensive line. He played well. I don't remember him messing up, or like there was some times where like he had a couple like not great reps, but it wasn't awful. He had, like I think I said during that show too, there was one rep where there was someone screaming off the edge and he got him. And at first I thought it was Ozzie and I was like, wow. And I like jotted down Ozzie, great rep. And then I looked and I was like, oh, that's Theo Benedett. Holy cow. So do I think Theo Benedett is all of a sudden going to be the starter? No. But do I think that they legitimately like him and they're using it to kind of turn up the heat? Yeah. And I also think too, like he could be a backup. I think this turns up the heat on, if it's on anyone, it's on Karan Amagaji. Because who's the person who's going to be the odd man out of this competition? Karan Amagaji, your former 3rd round pick. A lot of promising talent inside of Yale, but has not necessarily translated that much into the NFL. The other piece too that kind of got like from the offensive line side that really kind of got people a little bit shook up was Dan Roshar. Dan Roshar, our offensive line coach, had some of the best and most honest feedback that we've heard. And this is a very, very honest coaching staff. And he was asked about the right tackle, Darnell Wright. And he just was like, hey, he needs to be more consistent. He has ups and downs, but he needs to be more consistent. He was also talking about too, just about, Ozzie getting right tackle reps. And when asked about Ozzie, he mentioned that he's very smart, but also too, he kind of gave him some helpful, feedback saying when he gets in front, gets reactionary. That's when he really when he gets in front, it's good. But when he's not, then that's when he gets reactionary. That's when he gets in trouble. But also, too, something that I think stood out to me was Dan Roshar when asked about Braxton Jones. He said that when he saw him against the Dolphins, he said, I saw a player we can win with, and just was very gushing about Braxton Jones. But what he said is what we saw on Sunday was a player that reverted back to his old ways. And so it's exactly what we were talking about. Braxton has these like good highs, but there's these bad traits that we saw, like, especially on Sunday. Like when I did the tape review, for anyone that listened or watched that episode, I really did highlight that both left tackles were not good, right? And that's like, I think that is a big point that needs to just be stated. They both need to get better. And that's why you have Theo Benedett. That's why you have other people kind of trying to come up. And that's why they need more reps. And 2, I really want to see try to iron out almost like who that person should be so that they can get used to playing alongside Joe Thuney and they have that chemistry just naturally built in. Now, just kind of going through other pieces too, he did also mention Drew Dahlman, the center, only had 1 bad snap, and that's actually kind of telling, kind of throws Caleb a little bit under the bus just because, there's been a lot of botched snaps. And a lot of it, and Dan Roshar kind of defending his center, saying, hey, he only had 1 bad snap. But also, 2 other things. Yesterday, there was 6 total false starts, 2 by the first team. So just wanted to kind of call that out there. Yet again, we really got to focus on the operations of this offense. And other little things, too. Other kind of positives. Caleb Williams has had 2 good days of practice in a row. Alex Shapiro actually went out to say that Caleb won today. And I believe that Rome Odunze was the best player yesterday too. But both Caleb and Rome, very good connections out there. Lamade Zacchaeus continues to kind of get some hype as just someone who's a consistent target. But also too, Alex Shapiro mentioned that Caleb threw with anticipation, looked good in the 2-minute drill. So a couple a couple notes out there. So all good stuff that we were kind of hearing about Caleb. Hopefully that continues against the Bills, because that is going to be very, very telling. For the last bit too, as we talk about this offensive line competition, I know a lot of you want to know, who do I think is going to win, right? Where's everything kind of going? With Ozzy Trapillo getting some of those right tackle snaps, I do I feel like it's then going to be Braxton. And like we've been talking about this before, where at the very beginning I said the only time that, like, if Ozzy gets it, it's most likely because Braxton's too injured. And I still feel a little bit like that, because Ozzy's been very, very consistent about being out there. But it does feel like he might not be ready yet again. So if you can have a semi-healthy Braxton, I feel they think that that's better. And I think that's why you're seeing Ozzy now getting reps at right tackle, not because he's going to overthrow Darnell Wright, right? That would be insane. But to just be like, hey, you're going to be that swing tackle. Because from everything that I'm reading, I have not seen anything about, hey, now Braxton's getting reps with the twos at the right tackle spot, or Karan's getting reps with the twos at the right tackle spot. It's only Ozzy. And yet again, when they drafted him, I said his biggest thing is he's a really good swing tackle. That's his floor. He's Dan Skipper, right? And so I think with him getting some of those right tackle snaps, I think you're starting to see it kind of go out there. So if anyone is out there rooting actively against Braxton, I don't know what to say to you. Like, we support the Chicago Bears. Root for the players to be good. Root for them to do well, because at the end of the day, we need a left tackle. Like, that's the biggest thing, is that we need a good left tackle. And I just hope that there's someone that can play out there. Or Theo Benedette, the Canadian Eagle, all of a sudden comes out of nowhere and just starts dominating. But that's enough of camp previews. Let's get into the starters to watch out for. Oh, and last little bit that I do want to kind of call out, Dayo Odeyingbo, 2 back-to-back good games, or good practices. So want to give him a shout out, because he's gotten a lot of hate. He's been someone that has not been, all the reports saying that he's not been that good in camp. 2 back-to-back good days of practice. So shout out Dayo Odeyingbo. So now let's get into some of the starters to watch. So just like I did last week, we have the entire list of the unofficial depth chart that the Bears released. So I tried to color coordinate this. You'll see this a little bit later, for just kind of who to watch. And the way I did it before was I did 5 on offense, 5 on defense. I really tried to restrict myself just to 5 for the first quarter, 5 for the second quarter, 5 for the third quarter, 5 for the fourth quarter. And just to try and keep it that way. So total about 20 players to keep eyes out for. So let's get started with the starters, because the starters, I feel pretty easy. This is pretty simple, right? To me, number 1 is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, you should watch out there. Number 18, I think we all know, but not necessarily about the passing accuracy or anything like that. I just want to look at are they getting the ball out on? It's the whole repetition. Are they getting under center? Are they playing under center? Are they getting to the line of scrimmage well enough? Is he calling anything at the line of scrimmage? And then from there, are they getting the ball out? Is he getting the ball out on time, right? Does the operation look good? Because that's my biggest concern with this, is that Ben Johnson needs someone to run his offense. And for Caleb, this is a huge step from Shane Waldron, from Lincoln Riley in college, going all the way to Ben Johnson. So being able to see Caleb Johnson running this this actual pro offense, that's my number 1 thing to watch out for. Do I care about how accurate he is? Yes, of course I do. But the most important thing right now, especially in the preseason, is just the operation. They're not going to be throwing out the Ben Johnson playbook. They're going to be doing basic, simple things. So I just want to make sure operation is good. And also too, let's see, Muck saying, bear down. Hope y'all are doing better out there. Hope you're doing well, man. And then also we got Taco Man saying how long you think he's going to get. I think it's going to be I think it's just going to be 2 series. I think it's probably just going to be first quarter tops. That's my take. But if anyone disagrees, let me know. Or if anyone has any other thoughts on that. But I do think it's just going to be tops of 2 series. Yet again, too, the thing that also kind of frustrated me with Ben Johnson's decision last week was just all these other starting quarterbacks were getting reps. And it's like, why not Caleb, right? Why not Caleb? So I'm glad that he kind of came to his senses and put him out there. Next piece too, that another person on offense that I'm looking out for, you better believe it, Braxton Jones. So I have just two people on offense. I know we've been waiting for this offense, right? It's like, I don't have to tell you who to watch on offense because you can just enjoy it. But the two people I think are under the most like microscope, the biggest microscope, Braxton Jones and Caleb Williams. Because Braxton Jones, all right, if they have their starters out there, how are you playing? You better not give me another bad performance like you did last week. Better be doing what Dan Rochar is saying, and you get back to what you were doing in practice against the Dolphins, not what you did during the game against the Dolphins. Because, yeah, if that happens, dang. I mean, if Theo Benedet's out there, highly doubt that. Actually, that would be pretty cool to see if the Canadian Eagle is out there at the left tackle spot just to go against some starters. That'd actually be very like, hey, sending a message, but I'd rather see the true operation when you have live tackling against the quarterback. So keep Caleb upright, please. The only other thing that's kind of like a consolation prize, I just want to see how DeAndre Swift looks like in this offense, running the football, and also just who's out there. And it's not a individual player, so to speak, but just who's out there with the starters. Is Roschon Johnson out there? Does Kyle Monangai get some reps? Is it just DeAndre Swift? Because, yeah, is it going to be exactly the way it is week one? No, but I do think that who's out there will be very telling of just who they feel comfortable with. Because you know that they're going to put people around Caleb that he does feel comfortable with. So is Olamide Zaccheaus out there and Luther Burden on the bench as a backup? Just things to be looking out for. And is Colson Loveland out there when Cole Kmet isn't? So stuff to look out for. But now if we flip over to this defense, and yet again, if you're watching out there on YouTube, let me know in the comments who you're excited to see with these starters. Because on the defense, I am really just looking at this defensive line because this is my biggest concern. This is the thing that I really want to see it. So for me, Montez Sweat at number 98, Dayoud Dengbo, number 55, and also Grady Jarrett. So those are my three people that I'm going to keep an eye out for. Why? Grady Jarrett. We keep hearing that Grady Jarrett's looking good. And I think that's actually one of the most underappreciated storylines that's out there is that Grady Jarrett's actually, from what we're hearing, he's disruptive. He's not just a loud voice. He's a leader and a loud voice and someone that still has something in the tank, which I was doubtful of. Now let's see it, right? Not going to eat my words or anything like that, but I would love to eat my words if Grady Jarrett absolutely balls out, because last year you saw him take a step back with his injury. So to me, being able to see Grady Jarrett hopefully take a step forward, hopefully look better, I'd love to see it. So that's someone who I really want to watch. But then too, at the defensive end position, Montez Sweat, Dayoud Dengbo. Biggest question, how good are they going to be? Because Montez Sweat, you hear some ups, you hear some downs, but yet again, he's never been a dominant alpha pass rusher. That ever since that they traded for him, he's a good player. But like when he got the double-digit sacks, it was an outlier season rather than his norm. So how's he looking? Because last year we saw a banged up Montez Sweat. Did not look the same. So hopefully he starts to look more like the Montez Sweat that we're known for seeing, and also the Montez Sweat that was at Washington, right? You want to see just that good player because he wasn't that last season. And Dayoud Dengbo, one of the biggest like wild cards, because it's not how good, is he going to be good? And that's why I really want to see him, because yes, he's had back-to-back great days of practice. Let's see it in a game, right? Let's see it in a preseason game for him to go out there and play and try to show out, because that defensive end spot still gets me nervous because I like what we have going on. That line, man, it makes me nervous. Other things too to just kind of keep note of is just the punt return, kick returners. That's going to be the other big piece when we're starting to talk about starters. Who's going to be there with the starting punt return, kick return? Now with that, they can just kind of cycle it out a little bit more, but still just something to keep an eye out for. Let's see what y'all are saying out there in the comments. Broski, what's good, my friend? Saying he likes the early live. Yeah, I got some plans tonight, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go live early. So I'm glad to see some of y'all out there already. And Broski saying it all starts at the D-line and O-line. Need to get our CBs healthy too. That is right. And also, yeah, Dexter looks jacked. That's the other person. Like, I left him off of the list, but Dexter, the thing that I love is, like, it sounds like Dexter's doing everything right. He's changed his body. His mindset's crazy. And then I was hearing people talk about camp. They're like, that Trevon Dexter just nonstop. Like, he is someone that just has a super high motor in practice. And he's just goes. So love to see that. Muck saying, I wish Shamar Turner was healthy. I agree. I think in like a situation like this, Shamar Turner would be so much fun to watch. Still out, as we know. Hopefully he can come back week 1. But yeah, Shamar Turner would be so much fun to watch in a situation like this. Just beating up on some third string right guards that are going to be like, I don't know, an insurance salesman in a couple weeks or so. Just like freaking pounding them. Like, I would love to see Shamar do that. Like, that's the big thing. And yeah, just like Booker, good motor. And yeah, number 2, I do agree. Montez Sweat, more of that number 2 defensive end. So yeah, we'll have to see. We will have to see what ends up happening with the Bears. So now think of this as like first quarter, right? Expect the starters to be out there first quarter. Enjoy it. Make sure you go to the restroom before it starts so that you do not miss anything with that first quarter. But then we get into the second quarter with the backups kind of coming in. And yet again, it depends on how long Caleb's going to be out there. So I put the backups in blue. And I tried to go 5, but I kind of cheated a little bit, as I normally do on these lists. And it goes with the running backs. So the way that I kind of have this is Roschon Johnson, number 23, or Kyle Monangai, number 25. Roschon's not been out there. And Kyle Monangai, dude, anytime. Okay, name a more loved player by this coaching staff than Kyle Monangai. Like sincerely, think about someone who is more loved than Kyle Monangai on this coaching staff. Because yeah, you have Eric Bieniemy like saying that he runs like an old man, but when he's interviewed, he was asked about Kyle Monangai, and he kind of made a little joke about his pass protection because he was asked about that specifically. And he was like, "Yeah, it's not good." But he said that he's really excited, and he actually like kind of gave some coaching tips that, hey, you have to hit first, especially when you go against a player like Willie Gay that he knew in Kansas City. So here's the thing with it, because when you have Kyle Monangai and Roschon Johnson, Roschon, big guy, but those injuries, they stack up. The concussion pieces, he always likes to lower his head, but also this ankle has been very, very nagging. Then you go to Kyle Monangai. Kyle Monangai has a lot of these great traits. Now, Kyle Monangai, very good pass protector in college. He has to adjust to the NFL game, which is always something that's very difficult. If you remember when we drafted Roschon, people were like, this guy as a rookie can pass block? Holy cow. Like, it takes a while for a rookie to learn how to block an NFL linebacker who has a good, 20 pounds and significantly faster than anyone that they faced at the college level. So to me, is Roschon even out there? Because if not, just really specifically look at Kyle Monangai. When the starters are out there, is he getting snaps? And is he getting snaps and Roschon's healthy? Look for number 25, see where he's at, and also enjoy number 25. Because man, when that dude gets the ball, he's going to be running. And also, I think he's going to get a catch because he was disappointed. He wasn't able to show off his pass catching ability. I have a good feeling that he's going to get a reception somewhere during the game and do something with the ball in his hands. Now, next to, I'm looking at number 75, Ozzie Trapillo, for obvious reasons. And I think part of this too, just look at the left tackle. Like, if anyone is like, I don't know what to watch on offense, watch the left tackle. Like, who's ever at left tackle, just watch him. Because Trapillo, number 75, is he playing right tackle, right? Are they going to give him that right tackle spot to say like, hey, you're going to be more so of a swing tackle, so let's put you with the twos with right tackle, maybe then get some left tackle reps, and just so that he can kind of get up to speed on being a swing tackle. Yet again, nothing has been official, but with him getting 2 straight days of right tackle only reps, it kind of feels that way. But they also say too, hey, you know what? We want him to get some reps at the right tackle. We've been missing out on that. So seems very telling. The other piece too is Luther Burden, 87 wide receiver. The reason why I want to watch out for Luther Burden is, yet again, kind of alluded to it, with the starting unit. Is he with the starting unit at all? What does that look like? Because you have a lot of weapons, but Olamide Zaccheaus, not as big of a weapon as the others, but very trustworthy for Caleb Williams. So with this, Luther Burden, like I said before when I was watching the tape, just throw it to him. The dude gets open. Dude can do stuff. Like, give it to Luther Burden. So Luther's someone that I'm watching out for just to see when does he come in. And then also just because he's darn fun to watch. And when he's out there, you have a number 1 wide receiver, that like caliber-esque player out there against a bunch of, backups. That's where he's also super fun. So the other thing too, and then also too, when we flip over to the defense, players to watch out for, these are kind of like self-explanatory. 94 Austin Booker, just to really kind of see, is he going to do it again? Is he going to back-to-back good games, bring me some Austin Booker? Also, is he going to get in the rotation for some of the starters, or are they just going to keep Sweat and Dio out there for, 2 drives and then be like, okay, they're good now? And then also Noah Sewell, number 44. Just want to see back-to-back good games from him, just overall from Noah Sewell, but really kind of sticking to people up in the front lines. Because, yeah, I could say some of the defensive backs or anything like that, but yet again, those are very, very difficult to watch out for when you're actually watching the games. But yes, you can see kind of who's playing out there, but it's difficult to evaluate. So that's why Booker, Noah Sewell, 2 people to watch out when the backups come in that second round. But let's see too. What are y'all saying out there? We got a Roshan might get cut. Yeah, it would be interesting. He's a really good goal line back. I think that they might still like him as goal line. But yeah, it's always like funny because you see Travis Homer, he's just got to be the greatest special teamer of all time, because whenever he gets the ball in his hands, it's a guaranteed 4 yards. Like, he gets 4 yards, nothing more, nothing less. That's it. And also too, let me just kind of see. Yeah, any other pieces? But yeah, I also do agree with Broski with Zaccheaus being a camp all-star. But like, yeah, when the regular season hits, I think the thing with Zaccheaus is, as a player, we've seen what he is as a player. He's a solid receiver. I remember when they signed him, I was like, okay, good. But I think too, it's like he's a very reliable target, but then you have Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, right? You have 2 people that can get yards after the catch in Burden and DJ Moore. Yes, Zaccheaus can, and he's a solid receiver. It's just Jaden Daniels had to use him because that was like your second best receiver. He's the 4th best wide receiver, 5th or 6th if you include tight ends. So yeah, I do agree with that. So let's keep on going with the third quarter. So who to watch out for in the third quarter? And this is where we start kind of guesstimating. So I was going to put Karan Amagaji, hence you can see kind of my little image right here. But he looks like he's staring at me because he's mad at me because I didn't put him with the third quarter. Still look for number 72. Is he actually going to play? Is he actually going to be healthy? Look for, yet again, just watch the tackles, right? Just simply watch the offensive tackles to see who's playing. But Theo Benedict, Canadian Eagle, number 79, watch him. When is he going to come in? Is he going to be starting? Is he going to be backups? Is he going to be third string? They could do anything that they want with him. Like, yet again, like I said, they might even put him out there with the starters. I think that would be far off, but, I wouldn't put it past them. I think it would be smart, though, to try and, yet again, put Braxton out there as your starting left tackle, because it does seem like they're trying to make him that starting left tackle. So then you have a starting unit that can gel, because like I said before, I did not see good run blocking. And I think right now they need to start saying like, okay, let's slot you all into your positions so we can get some good blocking out there. Especially with the starting unit, right? there's not a normal game where you slot out your entire backup unit of offensive linemen to play, but the starters try and solidify that. Like, I feel like this needs to start happening. But then the other player too, Luke Newman, number 65, see where he lines up. He might even get some center snaps. I think they might just try and keep him at the guard position. But like I said, he's someone that I really liked from the pass protection, specifically. Luke Newman, 65. Let's see if he can have back-to-back good games out there. The other piece too is on the defense. Some people that I'm looking out for in that third quarter: Zach Pickens, number 96, and Jonathan Ford, number 64. Yet again, I think that Jonathan Ford is a very good run defender. Zach Pickens, I think he doesn't necessarily have a home. Chris Williams better at penetrating, better at the pass rush, and Jonathan Ford better as a run stuffer. So to me, Zach Pickens, where do you fit? And that's why I'm looking at both of them, because it is a little bit of a competition up there. Chris Williams is a part of it as well. You could even lump in 91 Chris Williams. But that defensive tackle spot is going to be a fight. And they stay out there for a decent while. 93 Xavier Carlton and Jamry Chroma can come out there every now and again, but really look for 96 and 64, because that is where the position battles kind of heat up. Because yet again, they are actually people that will be playing on Sunday because you rotate through your defensive tackles. And last little bit with this third quarter group, I had to put in Power Echols, number 57, someone who I really liked watching the tape. I don't know if he'll be absolutely in there in the third quarter, but look for number 57, RIP Jack Sanborn. But maybe it's just the number. But man, Power Echols, I liked how he looked out there. It's just someone to keep an eye out for. He's not as penetrative of a styler of like Noah Sewell or Ruben Hippolyte, and Hippolyte's another person to keep an eye out for. But those two linebackers, they attack. Echols, very foundational linebacker. That's something that I really like about his game. But now, last little bits with the end. Speaking of the end of the game, the last people to look out for towards the tail end when you go, is there anyone that I need to pay attention to? Here's a couple. So first off, Karana Magaji, yet again, broken record here. Look for the left tackle, look for the right tackle. Basically, every tackle except for 78, Josh Miles. Josh Miles isn't bad, right? He hasn't been bad. No offense to Josh Miles. But every other tackle has had first team reps. That's a crazy stat. Like, that's a crazy thing to think of, is that every single tackle that is on this team has had first team reps except for Joshua Miles. So just look at your offensive tackles. Just watch them, because that's where it is, except for 78 Josh Miles. No offense. But then you go into your guards, your interiors. I just want to see if Bill Murray's out there. Bill Murray was someone that really stood out to us last year, someone that really popped. I don't know if he's actually going to be there, but he's someone that's good. Consolation prize, just in case if number 60 Bill Murray is not out there. 67 Ricky Stromberg. You can also stare at the centers, because I think there's a legitimate competition for who should be the backup center. So, like, literally, offensive line, I hate that we have to watch them constantly, but yes, your tackles, your centers, those are super important because it's a gigantic battle. So be watching that for sure. The other thing too is wide receivers. Very difficult to watch, but John A. Walker, number 20, someone that is starting to pop, and JP Richardson, the camp darling of the first week, number 26, did not do much. Kind of had some force-fed screen targets to him in the last game. So for me, I'm watching out for those two just to see who's getting those targets, who's getting those plays. And I did see John Jackson get released, waived, I believe it was. So hopefully they're the ones that are then getting those targets over John Jackson, who missed 3 consecutive targets in a row. And then the last but not least, for the people to watch out for, Swayze Bozeman, another person that I really like, 27 linebacker. And another reason is just like, I feel in the later round, like with the very tail end, the defensive line, when Jamry Chroma, Xavier Carlton, Daniel Hardy are out there, I don't think that they do too much. You still get some of the Zach Pickens, Jonathan Fords, but yeah, turn your attention to these linebackers, because the linebacker position is still still a competition. Carl Jones Jr., I think just watching him, he did not look as fluid as those other linebackers. So keep an eye out for those linebackers. So that's a big thing that I'm saying, everybody, keep eyes out for those players. But also too, let me see some of the comments. Anybody that I missed? Let's see some questions. When is Turner going to return? Yeah, week 1, maybe. We'll have to see. And then Broski saying, hoping for Stromberg for backup center. I do agree. It's just Kramer, I just have not seen the man block well. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, when you're a center, you got to block. So that's a pretty big, important thing. Then Muck saying, is it just me, or does Duvernay not look as fast as he's timed? Agreed. I think that, like, we heard a little bit about Duvernay when he came in, and then we started to see that fade. And yet again, Duvernay kind of strikes me as some of the other, like, sorry, something just all of a sudden jumped. If anyone heard that, everything's fine at my household. But my dog just flipped out. But yeah, so with this, the like Ted, like he gives me Ted Ginn Jr. vibes, where it's like towards the tail end, nothing too crazy with just how he's kind of performing. And Shy Drax, what's good, late but made it. My schedule is crazy. So like I always say, for anyone that's watching out there on YouTube, hit subscribe and also hit the notification bell, because Lord knows when I will actually be live. I'm hoping to get to a normal schedule, but we'll have to see. Muck saying Jade Walker was another great polls UDFA pickup. We'll have to see. Like, I think that he really kind of gets us excited because he's playing well. He's playing well. So let's see if he has another good game. But tomorrow we have the Bears versus Bills. They have joint practice, and I'm hoping that it's another duplicate of the Dolphins, where then we have the Dolphins like absolutely kind of sticking it to them. I think it's going to be different. Bills are tough. Bills are going to be difficult, and I think they're going to have a good test to it. So I'm glad that they're going against the Bills and really kind of sticking to it. So I'll have it all covered. So don't worry. We'll have a show going out there to kind of just break down the practice and what was going on. And also, yeah, Drax, I do have the all 22, I think, figured out. I think the big thing is it all depends on when I can get like the actual NFL Pro stuff and all that stuff set up. So we'll try it again next week. So I'm hoping we can get it, because that's always so much fun. So with that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out. It helps out the show tremendously. Make sure to also click the link down below inside of the description so you can give the show some feedback as we look to become your favorite Chicago Bears show out there. So with that, have a great rest of your night, and Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.